And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JD Photo Podcast. So today we have Travis Hayto from SoCo Studios. I'm so excited for this episode. So Travis is a photographer, entrepreneur, and social media personality. He's found a lot of success in the TikTok kind of space, which is one I'm not really involved in a whole lot, but I have watched a lot of your videos, and he pretty much vlogs the day in the life of I'm going to say a pretty high-end sports photographer. I think it's safe to say you've done a lot of West Coast Eagle matches. Pretty much every weekend, I'm guessing. So you and your team are trusted by Optus Stadium, which is one of Perth's largest stadiums. So today is going to be a really educational episode for all people aspiring to pursue a sporting photography career or just get into the photography industry in general. Travis has a wealth of knowledge. He's run multiple businesses throughout his career, and he's been he is the founder and he's the current managing director of SoCo Studios, which he launched 16 years ago. So how incredible is that, guys? 16 years in the industry, man. Do you want to speak a little bit about how you got to that point, mate? Because that's a pretty impressive number there, just to be in business, as a studio in Perth, West Australia.
Thanks for having me, James.
My pleasure, man.
It's a hell of an intro. You forget about kind of what you do over the time. It sort of flies by. 16 years gone pretty quick, but yeah, it's mate. I started when I was 19, so luckily I do quite look youthful. It was something that I wanted to get into early days. I was kind of 10, 11-ish. My old man used to race off-road buggies out in the bush, and reluctantly he would hand me his film camera back in the day, and I would go along and take 24 photos of while he was out there racing. I'd get way too close to cars going really fast. So I guess that probably is where it started. I saw my dad had an interest in it, and I guess it probably stemmed from there. And then I went into high school and they offered photography, and my brothers did it. So I was like, and enjoyed it at school. So I started it, but it kind of didn't really click until post high school, because my entire high school and most of a little bit of primary, I was a pole vaulter. I was going to the Olympics. That was my dream. I was training 9-10 times a week. I was in the sport kind of world a lot, and I didn't get to go to the World Juniors when I was about 17. I fractured my back, and sort of that was the very first time I kind of got a taste of childhood, I guess probably is a good way to put it. And I just on a whim quit pole vault. I was a third of 3 boys, so my parents weren't super hardcore on me or anything. They kind of just supported what I did. Whether if I regret that now or not, I don't regret it, because it's allowed me to do so many things. What could have been would have been interesting, but what it did create an opportunity for is I had the ability to kind of go do what I wanted. I was a terrible student in high school because I just wanted to be an athlete.
Me too.
And and I don't learn from books. I learn from doing. That's kind of the way, that MO. So I went to study photography. I loved it in year 11 and 12, and just kind of signed up for TAFE. Did 2 years of my 3-year course. And at the end of the second year, I dropped out, but I dropped out for a reason. I knew what I wanted to do. The third year was exhibition based, and I had really no interest in that at the time. And I then just started as a 19-year-old photographer trying to make it in the world. And I grinded every day, and I did night fill at Woolies for years and worked during the day and took every opportunity I could. I had a great opportunity to go shoot a lot of the big sporting events from a contact at Tourism WA, and I just went and started shooting stuff. And as a lot of people know in the industry, a foot in the doors, is pretty much the best thing you can get, because it allows you to network with the people around the events or other photographers, and that just kind of blossomed. But it kind of came from hard work, especially in the first, few years of trying to shoot a bit of everything, but just also get good, because I feel like photography is one of those things that you just have to put the hours in, put the experience in. You're never going to be a great portrait photographer your very first portrait. It's sort of something that you just kind of, every situation you get put in, you get a little bit better and a little bit better. And then, that kind of, stemmed through, and now we've got SoCo Studios, we're about 16, 17 people deep, just photo, video, socials, design, and that's kind of stemmed through. There's a whole lot of story in between there, so I don't know how much you want to get into that.
It's a credible story, man. Look, I agree. I agree with a lot of things there. I think photography, definitely, it's a lot harder than people realize. Like, to really produce a good image isn't easy. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. In the moment as well, the technical side that you actually need to know, you know, your camera in and out, right? So you need to be able to make split-second decisions in order to kind of operate the camera and capture the photos as well. And then there's the artistic side to it, which is like predicting the light and understanding how the light works and how it falls and how you can retain contrast or soften even an image if you want to make it more soft, and kind of using that to adapt the photograph. And I'm sure you do a lot of that, you know, especially within the sporting space. It's not easy to do because most people probably reproduce the same angle, but I've seen in some of the stuff you've done and the way you shoot is very intentional, you know, like you get low to the ground, right, to change the perspective and to enhance the scene. So yeah, obviously that comes with, you know, decades of experience and understanding, you know, how to operate the camera as well as kind of analyze the scene and work around there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like you have to be content in your ability to be able to have like those kind of like next level of intentional of like shooting low and that sort of stuff. You know, I feel, you know, I couldn't do that for the first few years of my career. Mm-hmm. Like I was kind of figuring out how to take good images, and then that like intentional, I guess, art form, I like to kind of call it from a sport point of view, is the ability to see the situation, know that I need to capture something for a client, but then also I can shoot it in a way that kind of makes me happy too.
One for the client, one for you. It's
pretty much for that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think it's really important to be able to do that, you know, which is a fun way to shoot, right? Because you have the flexibility and the trust from clients to be able to go do your thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I try and do. I think as long as you're kind of meeting what the client wants, there's always a little bit extra room to explore. And if you take that opportunity to explore, I think that's when you can really start to push the boundaries of what you're able to create. I started off similar to you. I wasn't quite as young. I think you were a little bit younger, being 10 years old and having your father's influence, which is an incredible story as well. I started at about 14, 15 in high school media. I had a teacher, that's what you call it, high school teachers. That's how long I've been out of it for. Who gave me a really good foundation, and I started to produce my first films back then. I made my first film in Final Cut, back when I was 15, 16 years old, and photography even earlier on, and that lifelong devotion kind of gives you a different way that you look at images and interact with them, I think. And like you said, the first few years, even after all that experience, and you go to university or TAFE, and you're still just working it out, right? It's a thing that takes a long time. You need to put the hours in. Yeah,
absolutely. What I find interesting is like the journey. There's no like linear path for a photographer, I feel. You kind of got to blaze your own trail. Like we speak about TikTok before, and I get a lot of messages on TikTok and Instagram of like advice, and there's no like job application that you can put in for, especially being a sport photographer. You have to kind of like blaze your own trail and your own path, which is, I think, a really interesting thing in our industry. Because, say if you want to become a marketer, you can go to university and then apply for a job. Yep. It doesn't really happen kind of that with photo or video. A little bit more now, like it sort of big businesses are needing in-house people, and that's kind of been shifting in the last 2 or 3 years, and I think will shift even more. So it's giving the opportunity for creatives to have that that ability to sit in their creative all the time and be creative and produce, but then also have that security of a paycheck each week, or that comfort of that.
Why do you think that shift's happening?
Need for content.
The need for content. And how come you think more people don't pursue down that route of being a freelancer? Why is a freelance kind of thing dying off? Do you have any ideas?
Because it's hard.
It's hard. So let's double back. You mentioned, from 18 to 21, you're grinding, right? You're starting, at TAFE, doing a photography course, and you're starting your first business then as well?
Yeah, so to kind of elaborate on the story, when I was about 24, there was a year that I worked every weekend. I did 25, 21st, like I shot a funeral, like I shot everything. Like I grinded my butt off. And then in 2018, I kind of noticed the shift in content and how video was much needed. And the people that were doing video at that time, they really kind of it was really expensive and really slow. And I was like, well, that's the problem here. And I love problem solving. That's like the one thing that I really enjoy from a business point of view. I love big picture. Don't ask me to dot the I's and cross the T's. It's not my skill set in terms of from a business point of view, but talk to me about big picture and I'll sit with you all day.
You're a macro person.
Yeah. So I kind of like saw the problem with video, and I just had a few conversations with clients, and I was like, what do you need from this? And then I went out to solve it. And I approached a young guy that was doing some stuff for my basketball team, Michael Evans. And I was like, hey man, this is what I'm thinking. And it turns out now, we laugh about it now, but he was actually more photo than video, but he just said yes, and he kind of fumbled his way through it as well, which is kind of cool. But I pitched it to him, and then within 2 months we had kind of 2 full-time videographers within my team, and it kind of like, I never sought out to create a team. I just sought out to solve a problem for clients that I kept having the same conversations with. And then that kind of just like rolled on. And from probably 2018 to 2021, just after COVID, there was about 8 of us that we were in the team, and we were just operating under Travis Hayto. People would ask me like, who do you guys use? And they're like, I don't know, we just go through Travis. And it was really kind of impinging on me. And then we rebranded to SoCo. We're like, well, I think this is kind of like something that we should probably do to get past me as well. It's not about me. Like, I'm not so egoically, attached to that it needs to be. Like, I kind of, I want it to be bigger than that. So we rebranded, and then it just continually growed, and we just have been organically growing because we've been solving problems for clients, but then also just doing really good work. And where we are positioned in the market is, we talk about the need for content, and everyone needs so much content now. We're really in the golden age for content creation, because a lot of people don't know how to do it, and they need it very fast and efficiently. So we've just kind of been grinding there, and then now we're up to, I think there's like 16 full-timers or something like that. I lose track, which I know is probably not a good thing, but like I said, dot the I's, cross the T's. And we do everything from photo, video, socials, designer, animation, graphics, which is pretty fun. So like my kind of passion has, after the first kind of few years, was creating an opportunity for these these creatives to have the same opportunity as I did. Because like me grinding, I loved it. Like, it wasn't even me grinding hard. I was just like frothing, going and photographing things, like from big event to like, I enjoyed 21st. Like, I would just go and half the time party with them. And I was kind of around that age, and they enjoyed that, and I created the atmosphere, and it was something that I enjoyed, right? So I've kind of created this culture with SoCo that like, it's more about them coming and enjoying themselves and doing great work and enjoying what I enjoy about. I can't control that, but like if you think about it, we've got Michael and John. They worked at Coles beforehand. I've pinched, I think, 5 or 6 people off Camera Electronic and Team Digital. I'm not very well liked in either of those stores. They all end up working for SoCo. But they're all people that want to be in the industry. And then I'm not saying that they can't make it on their own, but this is the ability for them to like stepstone into that as well. Like, I see SoCo as a stepping stone for all of them, but then none of them really want to leave as well because they're having so much fun and enjoy what they do. So there's no linear pathway for a creative. And I think that's why it's quite hard for a lot of people to get into and, create an income off it, because it's so solitary. Like, you're out there by yourself a lot, like who do you bounce off? And Cass Edwards is a great example. She's a great little photographer in Perth, and she, I connected with her on socials, and we would go back and forward and stuff. And for the first like little while, she was so apprehensive to like kind of like chat to other photographers, because that's like the not the unknown in the industry, but like a lot of people see them as competition, but it's really like, everyone's a team. That's why I see it. Like, there's plenty of work out there for everyone. So like, don't stress. But like Cass took a while to like warm up to speaking to other photographers. Not that, because I think it was more, like scared than anything else. But like a lot of people have that same mentality, and like other photographers are your biggest adversary because like adversary. I don't know if that's correct.
No, yeah, I completely.
You know what I mean? Like I get more work early days when I was by myself from other photographers than, you know, corporate clients, you know, so, and it's so solitary that like you need to lean on other photographers to be able to create, like momentum and get some, you know, runs on the board as a photographer. So, shout out to Cass anyway. I threw you under the bus a little bit there, but she's awesome. So
thanks, Cass. Yeah, sounds yeah, really great and interesting points there, man. Where do I
Sorry, there was
start?
a few there.
Yeah,
I apologize. I kind of ramble sometimes.
Yeah, man. The networking part of photography and kind of building relationships with other photographers is really, really important, I think, especially if you are a freelancer. That's how you really get the work, you know, it's the word of mouth and the referrals within the kind of community. I think the shift, me personally, what I think is happening with the shift is we're starting to realize the importance of a team dynamic in making something efficient, right? Because as a freelancer, when a client comes to you and they go, you know, I need a video done in 3 days, you know, it's how are you supposed to take that capacity on as a sole individual proprietor, right? You're a one-man team. You probably have a shoot tomorrow. You know, you have a shoot today. The client wants the video. You end up working yourself silly, and you can't really get that efficient and process down. But also start bringing people in and start working together. You can kind of streamline the process. You know, you've obviously worked out ways that you can maintain quality to a high enough standard, but still get it out fast enough that is what your clients want. And but you're only able to do that because you have the support of the people behind you, right? Could you do it on your own? The answer is probably no. So I think that's kind of the shift we're seeing, and a lot of other industries have realized this, right? You know, you look at every other industry, they're all operated around teams and people working together collaboratively. But for some reason, photography hasn't really caught on. But you've obviously seen that as a gap and kind of come in and go, you know, how can I, you know, well, you didn't really even have that attention to start with. It was solving a problem, which is, you know, what business is, right? And, you know, you solve problems and then you work out how you can make your process more efficient over a period of time. And yeah, it's really, really interesting to see. Obviously, your success is attributed to the kind of move as a society as a whole. You know, it's the direction that things are going in, I think. And yeah, so it's, you know, people love it. They don't want to leave. And that's another way I think that you're being told that you're doing the right thing. You're not doing anything, you know, bad or unethical or, you know, whatever it might be that, you know, the critiques are saying, you know. Yeah.
Hey, who's critiquing us?
Hey, CE.
I actually don't know what people say about SoCo or if there's an image around the other photographers.
So that was a joke to CE who tagged you.
But no, like you bring up a good point because I actually don't know, like, I guess temperature check from other photographers, whether if we're seen as like taking a lot of the work or, you know, or just like this big kind of beast corporate now. But like that's never the intention. Like the intention is that we're kind of a conglomerate of like, you know, freelancers, I guess is a good way to put it. But we're just a big team that kind of support each other, which is kind of cool.
That might have been my puppy. It's all right. He'll destroy something. Yeah, so I agree, man. Yeah, it's a hard one because for me, like, I'm very big, you know, so I'm pushing weddings a lot at the moment and I'm trying to work out like what people want in that space. And I think I've come to the same conclusion where if I want to provide what I want to provide as a wedding photography service, not just the quality, I'm going to need help to do it. And it starts to, you know, beg the question, how do you do that? Like, what are the pieces that need to come together in order for us to actually be able to provide that level of service? And that bar is getting pushed higher and higher every time. I think every year, you know, people want a higher quality product or better quality product faster or whatever it is, and you know, like you were saying before, you can't have all three, can you? You can't have an efficient, fast service, maintain the quality. What was the last
time? So time. Basically, you got a triangle. You got time, cost, and quality. So choose two. You can't have three, because if you do try to do three, you try to do a high quality for a low cost and do it fast, you'll burn yourself out. So choose two. So either choose, you know, high quality and low cost, and it's going to take you a really long time to do it, or, you know, really fast, high quality, but it's going to cost you a lot, you know, or, you know, the other way. So choose two. Yeah. Three sets you up for failure in business, in my opinion. I
think two as a sole trader is pretty hard. You know, if you're on your own, it's how do you even get two? You know?
Well, so it's a really good point you bring that up because I find that clients are like electricity. All right? I love this analogy because they just love the path of least resistance. Yeah, in our world anyway, we're in the corporate world. I don't deal with Joe Public or really small business. I find that we're not the right model or fit for them. They need sort of more tender loving care. But from a corporate world, they're like electricity. They like, and the path of least resistance, right? So it's our job to make it as easy as possible for them along the process. And my biggest thing now is like the speed economy. We're in the speed economy. So for me, I think time, no matter what, should be one of your, 3 that you choose, because you look at people getting married, they want stuff to post the next day. That's realistic, right? So what can you do to get them something the next day? And that is a part of your service that I think needs to be there. You can't see, but I'm in a moon boot. I ruptured my Achilles 35 days ago. I haven't been able to walk for 35 days, so I'm keen to get out of this thing in January. But we've had that and had a few people away, and we've sort of been using a few freelancers and stuff like that. And the thing that's kind of come apparent to me is that like people actually just don't deliver. I think that's like the number one.
In what way?
They just don't deliver. Like
the files.
So, true story. I've got a hard drive on my desk at the moment that a client has sent to me, and she said, "Travis, I need to send you this hard drive. We got this photographer to do something out in Whoop Whoop for us. It's taken me 6 months to get these photos, but they are all the raws." And I opened it up, and they're just all in like card folders. Nothing's edited, nothing sorted, nothing. Right. So like if you are if you are taking on a job, like you just need to be punctual. You need to, be there with a smile on your face, leave, appropriately on the right time, make sure everything's finished, and then deliver in the time frame that you've set out, basically, and deliver what they want. There's varying levels of, whether if it's good or not, that's everyone's interpretation of that sort of stuff. But you just generally have to deliver what you're going to say you're going to do. But there are so many creatives out there that can't do that. I don't know why, whether they get in their own head of self-worth and not being able to send it because they're so worried about what the client is saying. However, you just have to deliver. Just do what you say you're going to do. And
it's better done than good.
Sometimes it is,
you got to finish it. You got to put it forward, and it's probably in your head a lot of the time, right? And
100%. We sent a job off the other day, and we weren't happy with it. And I was like, oh no, I was even thinking in my chair of this is not our standard. I'm not happy with this. However, we sent it, and we did it through our process on time, delivered everything however we want. And the client come back, amazing. Thank you so much.
It's funny when that happens, and I think every creative has that story. I certainly do. I've been in the situations where I've called people and be like, I'm going to give you a refund. And I've sent them the photos, and they've come back and go, what's that guy talking about? I love the photos, So I get in my own head as well. And it happens all the time. This was back when I was shooting pre-balls, exclusively pre-balls. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's a story in itself. Pre-balls, holy moly.
Yeah. Well, I still do some, 21st even. I've been to a few 21st this year. I love all photography. I'm a social person. I love to interact with people. That's why I do what I do. But yeah, we all have these stories about, not meeting the expectations we set for ourselves in those relationships at a professional capacity, right? You want to have a high-end relationship with someone, or a something you might perceive as a valuable relationship, and deliver that. And you can get caught in your head and just end up not doing anything. And I think that's worse. That was a hindrance in my social media strategy early on. Was I just could not put the content out. I would get stuck in my head. I needed someone to do it for me. So that was my solution to that puzzle. Was I needed someone to actually just push the publish button. But I couldn't do it.
But that's a good learning in itself, right? Because that's why not? So it's ultimately gonna.
We're creatives, man.
Yeah.
Early, 10 years old. 14. Callan was young as well. Isabel, they're all young. Starters in the field. Scro, Michael, my good friend who does a lot of videography for me. we've all, been lifelong practitioners. We're artists, but artists are sufferers, We're internal sufferers. We get stuck in our heads. We critique things. We're always trying to improve things. And that's what it takes, though, to do something like photography. You always need to be one step ahead, right? And you always need to be looking at the trends, analyzing things, and working out ways you can do what you're doing better. And
100%. Like, and you did hit the nail on the head with like, we are artists, and that is a really important part of it. And it's important to stay true to that 100%. And I believe I'm an artist as well in what I do. However, then also the flip side of that is you need to look at yourself as a business. So when I kind of like excelled what I did, I was about 25, 26, and a really good mate of mine, Conrad, and I would catch up for brekkie every Thursday morning. We still do. We've done it for, 15 years or 12 years now.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
And we got a bit of a crew that does it now, and that kind of what stemmed what I did with podcasting a few years back. But he said to me, he goes, Travis, you're in the business of being creative. You're not a creative in business. And that kind of, I'll say that again for you, you are in the business of being creative. So you need to kind of look at yourself as a business, and then the creative or the art is the vessel or the form that you take. And so many of like young creatives kind of look at it the other way around, like I'm a creative. So that's when I say deliver, like that's the part of the business side that you need to kind of, operate in. And that's probably the hardest part about freelancing or going kind of down the path by yourself, because a lot of people, I understand my strengths now. Like it's taken me a long time to work through that. I'm not a dot the I across the T sort of person. Like I said, early days, I would struggle with those like invoicing queries, all that sort of stuff. My whole focus was delivering the content or delivering the photos, right? So it's understanding what your strengths are. It's not always that you can hire in for your weaknesses, but early days you need to figure out what you're good at, but then also you need to deliver on that sort of stuff. So
I really like that quote. So you are in the business of being a creative. Yeah, it's great. A lot of creatives don't look at it that way. You're completely right. And but it's hard. Business is hard, man. It's a mindset.
Musicians, same thing. A lot of musicians look at themselves as a musician rather being in the business of music. Exactly. And I know that kind of sucks because like you're like, no, I'm a musician, or I'm an artist, or I'm creative. Well, you are, but like for you to profit off this as a full-time, thing, or profit off your passion, then you need to flip it the other way and look at it that way. So that's my opinion anyway.
It's my opinion as well. It's the hard truth of the society we live in, right? It is what it is, and you need money to survive. You can't not have money, right? You need money.
That is a very true statement.
It is a very true statement. And yeah, I wanted to be a travel photographer for a long time, and I couldn't make money doing it. So the question was, what do people want to purchase? And when I was the first thing that I started doing was birthdays, 21st birthdays, and then the question was, what do people actually want to have photos of? And it was candid photography was what really got me into the market and made me start to get money. It wasn't just those traditional posed images, but it was also those candid, those in-between moments. And a lot of people were doing that in the event space. And that kind of pushed me into that area where I started to do things like shoot 2 or 3 birthdays a weekend, and then all of a sudden I started to bring freelancers in to cover the excess jobs, and started to grow a team when I was about 24. And then it kind of evolved over time, but it was always asking that question of what do people actually want, right? And then trying to deliver that, and building the service based on what people are saying to you, and listening to them and getting the feedback. And it's kind of that revolving door. And I think everything is like that in life. Social media is like that. How do you become big on social media? You listen to your audience, right? And you see what they want to watch, and then you give them that. And over time, people will follow along and start to interact with you. I'm sure it's the same with your staff. Your 16 staff members is how do you keep them around? Well, you create a good work environment. You listen to them, right? You provide them with the opportunities that they're hoping to give, a stepping stone to whatever they want to get to. And I think that's a really great way to look at life in general, right?
Man, I hate social media. I'm gonna go on a different track here of you saying listen to your, and I agree with that. if you want to have a purpose from a business point of view, for me, social media personally is purely fun. So I only post what I enjoy. And what it kind of kicked for me probably 3 years ago, because I was so worried about posting stuff, and I was like, oh, people aren't going to like that, And then eventually I was just like, fuck it. Oh, excuse me. I was like, I'm just going to post what I enjoy. And if people want to follow along, great. Otherwise, like, it's just going to be like a bit of a portfolio for me. And that's all I do now. Like, if the photos make me happy, like, I'll post it. Like, if I want to do something else, like an educational piece or something, like, it makes me happy. That's what it comes down to. And for me, business-wise, it might not be the best thing, or, it might not be, the thing that's going to get me the most followers or anything like that. But I don't really care. Like, I just enjoy it because I didn't enjoy it before. So now I do, and like TikTok, I've grown to 70,000 followers, which is pretty cool. Like, I never really set out to do that, but it's purely just from education. It's just education of sports photography. And if I can kind of like, promote someone to go and do something. I had a DM the other day. It was from this like person in the UK. And she's like, Travis, I've been watching your stuff for ages. Like, I've got my first paid gig on the weekend. Like, any tips? We spoke for a while, and then she came back after the weekend and she sent me some photos, and she was just like so happy that like she'd got the confidence from doing it. And that's kind of like what gives me, happiness in social media, if that makes sense.
What do you hate about social media?
Just the monotonous like scroll. I don't know. I hate that I get stuck on it. If that makes sense. Like, that dopamine hit for it all. But and that's probably something I need to work through. But I think the outside judging too. Like, we don't want to post stuff on social media because we're out of fear of getting judged. You talk about before. Like, I couldn't press go, and that's because I could probably guess you didn't want to be judged early days. And we
completely right.
We sat here, before we started, and we talk about. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. Then that's gone.
No, I think that is the downside to social media is the algorithm, the way it kind of traps people in it, right? And
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I said I never judge anyone for posting on social media now, because I know how hard it is from, A, internally, but B, like, there's so many like not very nice people out there. Like, I'll post something on TikTok and someone will come back and be like,
people are assholes.
That's not. And I'm like how does that benefit your day? Like, that's why I don't get. I'm like, how does that make your day better by like trying to bring me down? Yeah. I'm like, I'm not even like controversial. Like, I'm like the least controversial person on TikTok.
Logging and day in the life of
like, I'm like, this is my opinion, like, about shooting basketball. It's like, oh no, you shouldn't do it that way. And it's like, well, cool. Like,
I do it.
And I get that. Like, I'm giving my opinion and they could give theirs, but then also like, I'm not doing it in a negative, derogatory, trying to bring someone way, down too.
I think that's a fantastic way to approach social media, man. And that's what I do as well. That was a hurdle that I became aware of. I was like, what am I actually doing here? What I guess I started by asking the question, what do people want to see? And I think people want to see you, right? People want to see organic, natural content. That's why I started podcasting. People, that's what people want nowadays. They don't want that hyper fabricated fake content anymore. That's going a little bit out of date because people are starting to see through that. Things change over time, right? A couple of years back, pretty much all online content was, very fabricated. Nowadays, it's very natural and authentic and organic, and I think that's the move. And what you're doing is, you're looking at that and you're going, I'm going to educate people in my natural element, right? This is what I do day in, day out. I have an expertise in this area, and I can give back to the community. So you're not only building your personal brand, which has been the most valuable thing I've done in my business career so far. I think that's what's pushed me to start looking at this as a full-time career and potentially a business with staff. But the train of thought gone.
It's all right. But
Save me, Travis.
You're right. It's It's, I don't know, social media is a funny old world.
It's a funny world.
It's
You get lost in it.
necessary.
You even get lost talking about it. It's like, it's so big. What is it? You know,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
And it's necessary. But you did hit the nail on the head of like, people want to connect with like real people. And that's kind of like all I'm about. I just use it as a fun vessel now. So, it allows me to keep a bit of portfolio. I like to go back through. I have this real weird little quirk, I guess, from when I send a job out. So like one of our protocols in sending jobs is we will send the link of the photos, but then also in the bottom of the email, we'll send like the 10 heroes and we'll implant them in the email. The reason being is that when the client, half the time the clients don't even look at the photos, they'll just like send them off to be, downloaded or whatever. Or they will look at like say 150 images, right? When you
what type of galleries are these? Sporting galleries?
Just commercial work, so like any of our corporate clients, right? We will put them in the email. The reason being is that when they look at that email and they look at those 10 heroes, realistically out of the 150 they're only going to use 10 anyway, like let's be real, but they're looking at the 10 best ones, and then their interpretation of the shoot was like, oh, these guys nailed it, because the volume doesn't decrease your quality. They're just looking at the 10 best ones going, oh, this is awesome. Like, these are incredible, and then their interpretation of the shoot is like, SoCo nailed it or Travis nailed it. And I have this quirk where like, I really, a lot of the time you don't even get an email reply back. A lot of the time you don't get a reply back because us as creators, we're seeking the affirmation of like, oh yeah, great job. Okay, cool. I can relax now. But sometimes you don't even get the email back.
Well,
so
no news is good news in the corporate world, man.
Correct, right? So
I
I like send this email out, and then like if I really love the job and like I got a real kick out of it, I'll go back like 2 days later and just like scroll through that email like 3 times and just look at the photos, and I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, like, and it will give me a kick, right? And that's like the affirmation that I get from shooting that type of work, because a lot of the time you don't get it from the client, and you shouldn't be seeking it from the client either. So, I'll just kind of do that scroll. And that's just something like I do over time. But now that I use social like that for my photos from an event, from a sport point of view, like I'll go back through them and be like, oh yeah, that was sick. Like I remember that. I remember I was thinking like that. And like, I just kind of use that as like a prop me up, but also like to enjoy what I do, because ultimately like I love what I do. So anyway, that's a little hack for, anyone sending out images to a client.
Yeah, that's a really interesting hack, actually. Lead with your best images, and first impressions matter, right?
Well, 100%, because then their interpretation of the shoot is left in a good one, and they're like, oh yeah, who do we get next time? Oh yeah, Travis. Oh, SoCo, they did that, and that's just one of our processes that, regardless, has to happen, because people, that's what they will see. That's their first impression.
What do you think makes a good photograph? What are you looking for?
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
What makes a good photograph?
So you're selecting your 10 best images. Like, what are you selecting those based? Is the moment you've captured? Is the lighting? Like, what are you looking for?
Okay, so any job that you walk into, I think you need to understand, what are you selling? That is, like, you go into a wedding, what are you selling? You're selling the feeling of those people looking back on the day. Let's be honest.
Yep.
What am I selling from Rottnest Island Authority campaign for winter? I'm trying to sell the feeling that someone's going to go there and want to go there, right? So what are you selling? Like, what is that? What is that client paying you to be there? What are you selling? That's like, number one thing. So it comes back to that. And that's the end result, right? So with everything, start at the end result and work your way back. And if you're going to a shoot, what are we selling? What is the end result? Then that will dictate the photos that you send in that 10. It might be, I don't know, let's use a older person's home and they have a morning tea, right? As an example. 5 photos could just be literally be their residence in their place of residence, smiling and enjoying tea with their friends. Because, these retirement villages and that sort of stuff, they sell community. They sell, friendship, the appearance of like that friendship and that culture and that sort of stuff. Like, don't be alone. That's what we're selling in that situation. So it's understanding what that is. Obviously real estate is a bit different. We don't shoot any real estate really, maybe some higher architectural stuff, but the kind of the run of the mill, real estate stuff, you're selling beautiful house images. However you select them is up to kind of what the real estate agent likes as well. They might just like all kitchen stuff.
What makes one photo? So you photograph the West Coast Eagles every match they do, yeah? What is the difference between the work that you do week in, week out that's really, really good, that sells and advertises the game, compared to the one shot that is on your portfolio? What's usually that one spark that makes a photo go from, okay, this is acceptable, this is high standard, to extraordinary,
From a sport, I think it's a story.
Okay.
I remember being asked maybe like 10 years ago, like, what's your favorite photo? And I was like, you know what? It's like this weird flag one that took me 2.5 hours to get, but it's like not a great photo. It's just that I'm attached to that story. So a lot of the time from a story point of view, it will be, it will be the celebration shot that they kicked at the end to go through. Technically might not be the best photo, but it's the emotion side of that. So a lot of the time it's that, but then also just something unique. I have this motocross photo at the moment where the sun is coming through the tiniest hole.
I saw that one
in the engine, right?
Great shot.
And everyone loves it. And technically, like it's an all right photo. He's on the way down. In that little section, I only took about 40 photos. I was there probably 3 or 4 minutes. Like, I knew kind of what I wanted to do. I couldn't see anything. I was just like, all right, let's go. I think I've got something there. Technically not an amazing photo, but like people enjoy that just from what it is.
It's a split-second moment. It's a moment you can't reproduce even if you really tried, right? Like, the sun beaming perfectly, F8 or something, to get that perfect flares.
No, it was, I was like F3.5 something. It's just because it came through the engine.
The perfect position.
Yeah, and everything's like really blown out like behind it. But
it is, isn't it? Yeah.
What people attach to like a portrait is different to what they would want from sport. So, and it's all
but it always comes back to that narrative, right? It's that emotional attachment to something. I think the most powerful photos I've ever taken, we're going to come into a more personal part, is the photos when I've taken something and then someone's come back to me in a few years and go, that person's passed on. That photo you've taken of my granddad or of my best friend who's died, it means everything to me. And it's that emotional connection, like you said. And I think those photos really are just an entirely different level of emphasis on the person, right? I think you can do that within a commercial space though, right? And you can bring people's emotional connection into an image, not only in the personal side, but also in your wedding work or your sporting work or your commercial work. I think there's a few photos you've taken, Travis, that are etched into my memory. Some photos I think there was one where you've taken of a West Coast Eagle player and the shadows just like casting. There's just a narrative in that image or something. The way the eye looks through the photo. Obviously, you're seeing that in the moment. Are you thinking about it, or is it something that's happened naturally after?
Yes.
How long have you been doing photography for?
20 years, I guess now.
Yeah. Incredible.
And I think that comes with like being able to deliver on your commercial brief, and then having the bandwidth within your mind to be able to be creative. Like if I tried to do that 10 years ago, I think I would fail miserably, if that makes sense. Like now I'm so much more calm shooting big events and that sort of stuff that even when it's chaos around you, you have the ability to like slow right down and just think about what's going on and being like, what do I need like commercially, but then also what do I need emotionally? So that stuff like with shadows and, I've kind of found my style in the last couple of years from a sport point of view, because I just kind of used to just shoot sports, but now I kind of see it as an art form as well. Like I can shoot sport and make it art at the same time, which I
You,
try to do.
you definitely do, mate.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
you definitely do. Yeah, really do well. But yeah, it's yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously, you know the decades of experience and the calmness in the moment. It's like a zen. Yeah.
Yeah, you slow down. I think one of the coolest ones I've ever shot is the Scorchers final.
That wasn't here.
Yeah, at the stadium
It
when
was,
Cooper
yeah.
Connolly just like went berserk with the sixes right at the end. I've never heard the crowd so like gives me goosebumps now. Look, never heard the crowd so loud. But I just remember because all the balls were coming to me. Like I was sitting right there, and they were just like pinging over my head right there. And I was getting up and shooting the crowd and stuff like that. And I just I reflected on that day, like the next day, and I remember how calm I was when it was all going on. Like I didn't move fast. Like I was just very like slow and methodical. And yeah, I don't even know what photos I took from it, but I took what I took from it was like how calm I was in the situation because I got to enjoy the moment too, but then also I got to enjoy taking the photos. That's probably like one piece of advice to younger photographers, like shooting events or even sport. It's like when your heart rate elevates and you get in the moment and like really kind of like you miss things. So just like bring it back, calm down, think about what you're doing. Like I'd rather miss something from, you know, being in the wrong position, being like, oh, I should have been over there, rather than like running over there and then missing something here, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like that calm. So, but yeah, like I love those sort of images. I look for them now more. Like I never used to look for them because I really enjoy what I do, and that's just my passion, and that's kind of what I get passionate about.
They stand out, and I think adding those photos to your whole gallery is so important. You know, having your little Travis Hayto's signature on every single image, you know, not every single, but you know, like some images that are on your portfolio that stand out. I think that's so important because that's what people remember you for, and that's what people will hire you for, right? And I try and do that with weddings and corporate jobs all the time, where I have my signature look that I've developed over a period of time. But I always get the clients what they want, but then it's those little extra ones that I get and I add into the gallery, and then those are the ones that are on my portfolio. And you know, it's not the whole job, but it's a little bit in there.
Yeah, you say something really good there because I think weddings as well, people hire you for your style, and like for anyone that's booking a wedding photographer, you know, don't try to get them to change their style. Just hire them for who they are because that's what they're really good at. Like, you know, that's why they do that. You know, hire them for that. Because you see a lot of people like, oh, I like this style, but I want this person, and it's like doesn't quite work like that. But it's I lost my train of thought again. Go on.
Yeah, no, you were saying so yeah, stylistically, wedding photography is a
Sorry,
different.
I got it.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was, I think you brought up a good point of like getting the client what they need, but then also doing your own little things. From a commercial world, I get a lot of the time, you'll get dictated shots and they're like, hey, I want this and I want it this way. And I'm like, okay, like I'll do it exactly how you want. And then I'm like, can I just like play for 2 minutes? Like say, you know, I'll be at Synergy, right? Shooting like stock images in their offices. And they're like, yeah, I really want this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's do that. And then for like 4 minutes at the end, I'll be like, just let me play. And then I'll go bang, bang, bang and do it out of my lens through my, you know, experience and that sort of stuff. 9 out of 10 times they pick what I shoot.
Of course. Clients don't know what looks good. That's the hardest part of being a commercial photographer, I think, is actually understanding what looks good, right? Like, we all have ideas about what looks good, but I think actually creating an image that's going to relate on a mass scale is really difficult, you know. And I always go back to cinema. I think the cinema guys have worked it out. You know, depth, contrast, mood, atmosphere. I think those are the things that are probably going to be most relevant moving forward in the creative space for commercial photography, because they do it best. Those are the $1 million productions. You know, they know what they're doing, and you look at what makes the image good and break it down. And I think that's yeah, and obviously usually when a client thinks I'm going to get a photograph done, they do it from the stock point of view, right? The clean, no shadows, images, right? Very bland. But then usually what I do when I bring in a lot of my work is I kind of jazz it up a little bit, and same thing. They usually pick those, and I'm guessing you probably do a similar thing with.
You sort of do that. It's interesting you bring cinema up because it's like AI, right? So AI is a real hot topic at the moment. We even literally got asked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like the thing that I'll find interesting with AI is that, those emotive images that you capture of a person,
Yes.
like that beautiful portrait. I don't know if AI will ever like capture that essence, if that makes sense.
No, I don't think so.
Because there's two reasons. Because the person behind the camera or the person in front of the camera who's getting that photo taken, they remember the experience from getting that photo taken.
Yes.
With AI, you never will. AI is going to have its purpose. I think it's the way of the future. It is what it is. But then also you look at like when I came to the industry, they basically stock images were so brilliantly lit, had 3 or 4 lights, and then when I kind of started out, like I was probably one of the first frontiers. I shoot with 1 light and I bounce probably more than I actually put light on someone. I'll just put it on the 45 and bounce, use natural. Even if I've got no light in a room, like I'm still bouncing, like I'm very rarely putting light on. And that was kind of the new way forward from that highly stock because, everyone had that same images and they kind of like, everyone got sick of it. So then it's gone to that real natural light, kind of vibe. We're still in that now. But AI, I think, will revolutionize that again. And I find that we'll have to shoot rougher. I know that sounds really weird, but like less perfect because AI is going to be so perfect in everything that it does.
I think that's a really good point, man. I think there's a lot of move in the wedding space with that, where like direct flash photography is coming back, really harsh lighting, natural, authentic moments, contrasty still. I think that's what I'm seeing really get pushed at the moment.
I vibe all that sort of stuff, so I'm all
I
for
vibe
it.
with it as well, man. Yeah. I think stacking contrast. That's a way, it's a gaming phrase. Layering contrast on top of each other, I think is really interesting at the moment. Sharp lens, soft filter, orange and teal, soft highlights, deep blacks, like contrast in different ways. I'm seeing a lot more of that come through, and I find it really interesting. That's what's like really being pushed in the wedding space, at least. Commercially wise. Definitely, I think we're still, especially in Perth, most people, they push those type of images a lot. I remember the last commercial I did, I put a little shadow on someone's face and they're like, we want that out. So I took it out.
Yeah, wow.
And then, I actually took a image of both, and same experience. A client liked the one with a bit more shadow later on because it defined the jawline. But, it's those little things that I think... we don't really know what we like, do we? And it's so subjective and it moves all the time. It's really hard to stay relevant, I think, and really know what type of work to produce. I don't know. Do you think it's about staying true to yourself, or do you think it's more about like analysing the market, what's happening, and
It's both, right? So I've been in the industry 15 years now, 16 years. And I was that young kid coming in with like new ideas and kind of changed the game. And like you look at the older guys when I was in, and I was like, oh, you're such a dinosaur, right? You're doing like, what are you doing like that for? So now, like I've gotten to that point. I'm like, shit, I'm the dinosaur. But I'm looking back and I'm like, what are these kids doing?
Okay,
and you know what? A lot of them were shooting low with the flip screen up and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, right, let's do it. And that changed me. I was like, oh, well, how do I shoot this? What are they doing? So it's being true to yourself, I think, is the number one answer to that 100% of the time. But it's also understanding what the market determines. So going back to business in creative, you have to understand what is going to keep you in business too. It's me looking at the young crew and going, well, what's the new way of shooting? Like, how can I stay relevant? But then also, how can I apply that to what I do and how I see the world? Because that's a beautiful thing about photography or being a creative, is that it's your interpretation of the world. Like, it's no one else's, it's yours. It's how you see the world in that situation and how you want to influence the image. You can influence it in so many ways. The way you pick a lens, what camera you use, how you light it, where they're standing, where they are, what they're doing. Like, that is completely your interpretation of the way you see the world. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about
Yeah.
it is an art form, and a lot of people lose that as well, where they get so caught up in trying to succeed that they kind of lose the essence of just being them too.
Completely agree. People, get lost in it and they start to forget how much influence a photographer actually has over how the viewer feels. Absolutely. It's what I spend a lot of time learning about. The tools we have that we can control how people feel. And in the moment, when they see the photograph, it's very real and it shouldn't be forgotten. And I think that's what differentiates a photographer who's good to a photographer who's excellent, and the people who get hired are the people who understand that, right? Is knowing how do you take your images that extra step. And it usually it's the type of people who not only have the creativity, but also have that analysis, like you said, stay true to yourself, but also look at what's going on around you. I just realized we're at the hour mark, so I want to dive into another topic. So Travis, really great. Obviously, you've done a lot of really great stuff in photography. You understand photography very deeply, and you understand what makes a good photograph, how to produce great images. But the way you managed to explore this was from having a successful business, because without having a successful business, you would never have been given the opportunities to produce these photos, right? So how did you do it? How did you start a business?
Deliver.
Let's see. I'm interested to know, because I'm going through a growth phase at the moment, and my weekly hours are fucking insane. Like they're insane. You're setting up this room, setting up the studio out there, getting the computers to work, getting this to work, understanding the gear, podcasting, marketing. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. What's your advice to someone, maybe to me, in this, first 5 years of business? What's your advice? Yeah.
It's a very big question. You can't do everything. So just choose what you do.
Okay.
So don't be efficient, be effective.
Okay.
With your time, I find is a really thing. Like I have 4 children under 6 years or 6 years and old, 6 years and under. We're a team of 16. Obviously recreational time there as well. My favorite, athlete of all time is Kobe Bryant. And the reason that he is my favorite is because of his mentality of, just outworking others. So I'll always be in the mindset of like, I'll just outwork you.
How do you outwork people?
Put in the hours.
And how do you put in the hours?
And that's it.
Is it routine? Is it?
Yeah, you gotta choose what you do. So it's interesting. Like I've missed birthdays. I've missed, all sorts of stuff because I'm choosing to preference what I do. You have to make sacrifices like that all the time. So, Kobe was notorious for people rocking up at 6 a.m., to work out. He was there at 4. He's already done his first workout. He's going to have brekkie and stretch and then come back for his second workout by the time you've finished your first. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the mindset I've always had over the years. And it's not about working yourself to the bone. It's understanding how to work hard and when you need to work hard. And, allowing yourself to have down days. Like I'm not saying I'm a robot, like I have down days and that sort of stuff, but it's controlling what you can control, be effective rather than efficient, and focus on the highest yield things that are going to like impact the most. So there's like, I talk to our crew in our project management team and they do most of the admin and like, triage all the emails, understand what's the most important, what can wait, what's a today job, tomorrow job, and next week job, and be effective with the today ones, be effective with the tomorrow ones, and if you don't get to the next week ones, they're always going to be there because there's always going to be something there. Mm-hmm. Anita said it to me in the office the other day because she's kind of when she starts September. She goes, I never get my emails down to 0. And I was like, my emails haven't been at 0 since 2009. It's just unrealistic, right? So you got to be not so harsh on yourself, but then also you got to hold yourself at an account because if you're taking the piss, then only you are going to, see that dwindle. It's like I teach my child, he's 6. I'm like, he wants to cheat in Monopoly when we play. And I'm like, mate, you can cheat, but you're only going to cheat yourself. right? Like you're the one deep down who's going to know that like you didn't succeed by going the right way, or, you know, so same thing. If you don't put in the work from a photo point of view, there's so many people who are in my DMs of like, oh, how do I become a photographer? And it's like, you got to put in the work. Like get down to your local sports club, shoot every week, you know, do that for 3 years without asking for anything, get really good, you know, network the crap out of it. And yeah, you got to understand why you do it as well is a big thing. So like, why I did it in the start was because I just frothed photography. I just loved it. Like I loved it. I still do. Like I'll never stop shooting. Like in my weekly thing is like I shoot. I try to get to as many shoots as I can, as well as do what I need to do. So that will always be like my first love. My second love is now creating an environment for other creatives to flourish and do what we do what I do. So that is a really easy kind of like motivating factor that gets me up every morning. But if you don't have the understanding of why you do it, then it becomes really hard. So I love this analogy of like soil, and you have two things of soil, two pots of soil. One is, you know, composted, you know, beautiful, you know, it's got food in it all ready to go. And then this one is just dirt and it's really crappy. And you put a seed in the good one, you put a seed in the crap one. What's going to grow higher? It's going to be the one that comes from the great compost, right? So now you take those two pots and you associate the good one with love and you associate this one from fear. If you're operating from a love, from where you want to, like from why you do things, like I genuinely love my team. They are my family. You know, I worry about what's going on in their lives, right? They're you know, genuine. So that's the love. If I'm operating from fear, then you will never have the sustained
growth.
Yeah, the sustained energy to be able to maintain the constant, you know, the energy to maintain the constant daily grind, because you're operating from fear. You'll find that you'll go high, you'll go low, you'll go high, you'll go low. And it's like a roller coaster. Peaks and Valleys, great book if anyone wants to read it.
Peaks and valleys.
Yeah, peaks and valleys.
Valleys.
Peaks and valleys. And you'll go high and you go low. But if you're operating from love and the true reason of why you want to do something, so you need to understand why you're getting up every morning, then you'll have that, you know, you'll have that sustained energy. People are like, how do you have 4 kids, 6 and under, and don't drink coffee? That's honestly one of the most common questions I get.
Yeah.
I'm like, because like I get up at 5:30 in the morning, spend time with the kids, I do some work while they watch a bit of TV, and then we will, I'll have the same amount of energy at 10 p.m. that night, because A, I look after myself, you know, hydrate, all that sort of stuff. But B, I have the same energy because it's delving into my love, you know, my love pot, my love bucket, rather than fear.
Start with why, yeah? Start with why. Work out what that is.
End result. So no matter the shoot you're going into, what's the end result of this shoot? What meeting are you going into? What's the end result? You know, you have to start with the end result and work back. So say we work with a client from a video point of view and it's like, hey guys, what do you want to do? And they're like, oh, we want to create a 5-minute video. And it's like, well, about what? What's the why 5 minutes? Oh, we think it just should be 5 minutes. It's like, okay, so what's the end result? Hey, I just want to communicate that you can get ice cream from the, you know, the freezer at the office now. That's the end result. It's like, all right, well, let's do that in 15-second video.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone gets caught up in the how rather than focusing on the why. So focus on the end result. Yeah. Another analogy. I love my analogies, so bear with me. But like a ship, right? If a ship doesn't have a heading, it will drift. So it doesn't matter where the heading is. Like you set that goal. Right now, one of my goals is to photograph an Olympics. Okay. I wanted to go there as an athlete, but I never made it as an athlete. But you know what? I reassessed it about 18 months ago and I was like, you know what? I can go there as a photographer and I can do that. So that's now one of my goals. And I'm verbally saying that. I never used to say that out loud because I was so afraid of not doing it. All right. But that's my heading. And you know what? I might end up at a world champs because like I've at least had that heading to work towards. But if I haven't even made that heading and I'm drifting all over the place, then I may not even achieve the world champs.
Is your goal at the moment being the captain of the ship? Is that what you're doing day in, day out, more or less?
Yeah, that's what I do. I enjoy that as well because like I enjoy the people element. You say before, like I love people, and you know, one of the reasons that I will never stop shooting is because half our clients are all my good friends. You know, like I get to see them, I get to do stuff, you know, like it's that sort of element. But then also, I don't need to be at the ship. Like 2 years ago, I would have said yes. I need to be like the person. As I've grown now and I understand like about letting go of control, because that's one of my MOs, I would be more content with letting go of control and let someone else steer the ship. Now we have a structure. We used to have it just all the questions to me, but now we have a lead photographer, Alex, and a lead videographer, Michael, and then a project manager, Anita, and probably 80% of the questions go to them. And, you know, 20% comes to me where it's like kind of like the real problem solving stuff. So I've let go of that and we've kind of promoted their leadership skills and what they want to achieve. And they were chosen because also they're great at what they do, but then that's something that they want to develop in their skill set, right? So, all right, let's do that. But yeah, to answer your question, no, not anymore. It used to be, but I think as you've grown, kind of understand and you become more content with who you are, the ability to not be that person for me has become easier.
That's a really incredible advice, Travis. I think what you're doing is fantastic. You're obviously drawing from a passion, which is your lifelong devotion. You're giving back to the community, which is a part of internal purpose, right? Is giving back. You know, what have you done your whole life? How are you going to give back? And then you're also taking that one step further, right? Where it's not you're only giving back about photography, but you're giving back about mindset, about the mindset of business, the mindset of working, the mindset of selling and producing something, and starting with that end product, asking why. And I think that's really important, right? You really need to have that down packed. There's obviously that book by Sinak, Start with Why, and it stretches across all aspects of life. Start with why about your own internal purposes, but also start with why about why your clients need something, right? So yeah, that's amazing, Travis. I think what you've done is you've definitely set a pretty high bar for new creatives coming in and wanting to pursue a business like myself, but it's also a lot of inspiration.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do photography?
Yeah. Or what you do. Yeah. Why everything? Why do you?
I love photography. So I started photography very early on. I was very much into film early on in my days. And then something caught me with the ability to kind of explore life through the lens. Right. So I was a traveler between 19 and 22. Pretty much just spent all my money on travel with my 5D Mark II and a 40mm pancake lens that I still have, and I still use it. And all I did was go around the world and take photos of people in various cultures and places and situations to open up my mind to what the world was. But the camera was the vessel that made me do that. It wasn't myself. It was the camera kind of gave me the ability to have the confidence to go and travel and document all these things. And coming back into to West Australia after so long, I met my fiance, or my wife, who gave me the purpose to pursue it as a career, because that that's part of life, right? You need to start making money, and we're both hippie travelers. She was living in a van in New Zealand for several years before that, and we were quite broke, and so yeah, it was very much how do I continue on with my passion of photography that I've devoted hundreds of hours, week in, week out, living and breathing it, man. Like I would sit in the printer rooms at Curtin University until 2 a.m. in the morning, printing photos, perfecting the color. I'm obsessed with this stuff, just absolute obsession. It was how do we make money? And obviously my nonno is an entrepreneur. and he taught me a lot of great business skills, and I took those and decided to run with business. Did a second degree as a backup, and here I am today. You know, so it's very much I'm doing this as a career because I love photography, but I also want to be able to share that with the world. You know, continue to share that with the world. How can I bring my love for photography into the world and share it with others? And I think there's a great potential there to have a career and to also do something really valuable and meaningful while at that. I have social work qualification, so I was a social worker for 2 years while I was building my business, and that's the industry of people as well. And I think it always comes back to that. It was you know, how can I have how can I have, you know,
disco in you?
Yeah. How can I do something meaningful to myself, meaningful to my wife, meaningful to other people, and do what I love? Yeah. So yeah, is that a good answer?
That's cool. Yeah. Sorry to flip the switch on you. I always find it interesting, like why people do stuff, because it's a question that don't get asked too much. And I reference like the 7 a.m. brekkie crew on a Thursday morning, which I haven't been to for a few weeks, but we would have this thing where, like, we had a couple of crew. Marco, mate of mine, he was an engineer for Shell, and he's a videographer now, and he was trying to go through this kind of process of, like, what's he want to do in life, you know? And we had the 5 whys, and it's like we'd ask, you know, you 5 times, like, why, yeah, and then you give an answer, and it's like, why, and you give another answer, and it just goes like deeper and deeper until you understand, like, truly, like, why what you do or why you want to do. And you can have that lens with clients, right? It's like, why do you want to create this piece of content? Like, why does it need to be? Okay. And then you work back from there. I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that I've learned over the years. And a lot of people, because we just get caught up in the house so much, you know, what are the steps? It's like, don't worry about the steps. They'll take care of themselves. Just dictate the end result.
If you put in the work, they will. You know, you have to put in the work.
Yeah. Action creates opportunity.
Yeah.
So action creates opportunity. So I think that's a great point. They will take care of yourself when you take action. But a lot of people, you know, will sit in the why, and they'll be sitting in their house, and it's like, well, why hasn't people called me? You know, it's like, because you need to create opportunity by action. So
absolutely. It's a hard puzzle, man. I think business is a hard puzzle. The business of being a creative is a hard puzzle. And then you need to have that purpose, because you're going to be competing with people like yourself, Travis, who do have that purpose, you know, that love for the craft. So it's a hard industry, man. And I think what you're doing is really awesome, which is being able to give people the opportunity to have a career, you know, and that's not something that's existed in Perth, I think. And you've set that, and I think that's really amazing. And I think it's something that's needed, because the photography industry is unregulated. It's, you know, no clear pathway. We need more of that.
A lot of cowboys, especially that SoCo crew, they're pretty. But you know, the community is amazing.
Yeah,
like the photography community is unreal. Like, I know you've spoken to Mark Jeffrey, and you know, like there's so many photographers in Australia that you connect with that are like just awesome. And same in Perth. Like, you know, the amount that you kind of hang out with, you know, just talk with on socials. Like, there's so many people I've never met, but like I feel like I know so well. I know I guess that's kind of creepy or weird, but like, you know, I think just create like photographers, videographers. It's just a fun industry that people get on with as well, which is fun. So if you are sitting there and you're a photographer, but you're too scared to talk to other photographers, don't be. Yeah,
no,
like,
I don't think so. We're not scary, are we? I don't think so.
I wield my crutch.
Look out, guys. Travis will hit you over
not
the
hang on, come back to me.
Go for it.
No, yeah, this crutch, not the. Anyway, you probably need context to that, but no.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's true. No, it's there are a lot of photographers out there. There are a lot of great people doing amazing things. Travis, you're right. But you know, I don't think you should undersell what you've done, because I'm pretty impressed.
Thank you.
And I think it's really amazing. Yeah, no, and it comes from a good place, which is what the world needs. I am going to cut us off, Travis, because we're just going to keep going. Otherwise, mate, it's going to be 4 o'clock before we know it.
Always having to keep talking.
I know, it's hard, eh? All right. Yeah, look, Travis, fantastic conversation, mate. Yeah, I really think you're doing amazing things. So like always, everyone, this episode is supported by Rode, so check them out. We're on the Rodecaster Video, which is a really phenomenal device. This thing has really proven to be able to do some really incredible things. Rode pod mic, USB. Check this thing out as well. Love this thing. Sounds great. Now we've got the curtains up in this room. This room's so going to start to sound really, really good, and I'm really excited to see where this podcast continues on to. So without further ado, that was Travis Hayto, everyone. We're going to cut it off, and peace out. Thank you very much. Outro song, and then we're good to wrap it. I think the outro song play. No outro song? All right, fade to black. Peace.